Each week, Stevens Creek Toyota brings us stories of athletes who have overcome adversity in their lives to succeed in school and in sports.
Marissa, with flowing red hair and lightning-quick speed, Nick Murtha was a star on the basketball court. But that all changed this summer when his life on the court was challenged by a medical diagnosis, putting him in the fight of his life. Really, all Nick Murtha wanted to do was play basketball his senior season. Last winter, playing his junior season at Leland High School, the Chargers had a good year, with Nick and the team optimistic, with most of the team coming back for their senior season. This past summer, Nick was playing in a summer league game. This hit in a game against Los Gatos set in motion a series of events that would change Nick's life forever.
Just like a headache pain that was just so bad, and then I got home and the pain just got worse and worse.
Nick continued to play. The headaches were eventually diagnosed as a concussion, with a brain scan set to assess the damage.
I'm waiting in the waiting room thinking I was just going to take him home, and the tech came out and said, you need to go right to the emergency room.
And then we go into the ER, and I'm just sitting there kind of shaking at that point. All right, can someone tell me what's going on? And then one of the nurses comes up. He's like, you have a mass on the right frontal lobe of your brain. And I was just kind of like, okay.
Nick was transported immediately to Lucille Packard Children's Hospital at Stanford. There they met renowned pediatric neurosurgeon Dr. Gerald Grant.
So this is Nick's scan here, and it shows the cystic area surrounded by a lot of swelling of his brain. All this white here shows the swelling around the tumor. And this is something we act on very quickly because we don't want him to get sicker and sicker. The question is, what is this? We have no idea what to do next until we really figure this out, diagnose it, do surgery, and find out what's going on.
Just 2 days later, on July 20th, Nick goes into surgery to have the tumor removed. The night before, Nick sends a text to his friends telling them the news.
My phone just got flooded with like really nice texts from friends and like people I knew and coaches and whatnot, and it was just like a time, like I was as weird as it was, that was like one of the happiest like days, nights of my life, like the day before, because people were like, it just shows like how important like having a powerful or like really nice community around you can be.
Please, God, let him be okay. And just having faith in the doctors that they knew exactly what they were doing and that he was going to be okay.
The surgery is a success. Though you can't be sure every cell from the tumor is eliminated, Dr. Grant is confident in the way the tumor was removed.
Luckily for his tumor, under the microscope, we could tell very subtle features of that it was different from the edge around it.
And they told me that with the tumor and the cyst, it was like the size of an orange. So I was pretty much playing with like a mass in my head the size of an orange for a while, which is that's kind of brutal.
Nick and his family then waited 10 days to get the preliminary pathology report. The result? Glioblastoma, a horrible kind of malignant tumor. With this diagnosis, Nick would have no more than 18 months to live.
I don't even know if we were thinking. It was kind of just like shell shock, just terrified, just scared out of our minds.
Looking back, I was like crying at the point I was playing basketball, and then later I realized like it's much bigger than basketball. Like they're kind of giving me a certain amount of time. Like it's beating this it's really rare, and my chances weren't too good to even like survive at that point.
The family went away on vacation knowing it might be their last as a whole family. Nick would be facing the fight of his life when they returned home. It was their next hospital appointment when their lives would be rocked again.
We go back to Stanford for a checkup, and they come in and they're like, we have really good news, and there's been a change of pathology.
A more sophisticated check of the tumor revealed it was not a glioblastoma, that Nick's cancer is curable. Nick would still need radiation and chemotherapy, but he would likely get better.
That made me cry very hard, actually. I kind of broke down again, but knowing, like, basically we got our son back. And from that point on, nothing really seemed as bad because we thought we were dealing with the worst case, and it ended up being better.
And if it's malignant, we know there could be just one cell that can drive a recurrence. One unique cell can do that. So we have to then follow it up with something. When we got that tumor down, we're going to keep pounding it and really try to cure this. That's the goal of every kid's tumor. We really want to cure their disease.
Right away, Nick got back to the gym, working out with his dad at the local middle school. Basketball his senior season was once again a possibility. Nick was aiming at a final preseason holiday tournament for his return to action, the DJ Franson tournament at Bellarmine Prep, named after a Bellarmine grad who had battled cancer for 19 years before his death in 2004.
I'm just excited to get it over with. That's pretty much it. I don't know, I'm really nervous.
After breezing through radiation, Nick was back in the hospital preparing for his first round of chemotherapy. A port was implanted in his left shoulder that would deliver the chemicals into his body.
Starting off with chemo, they put the port in your chest, and that kind of sucks having that in. And then we go to the hospital for chemo, stay there for 3 days, and you just feel so bad. It's like, I can't even really describe it.
After 3 weeks, isolated throughout 3 rounds of chemotherapy, Nick attends Leland's basketball practice.
Welcome back, our good friend over here.
The chemo done, but the effects are obvious. Nick is weak and pale.
In my second round of chemo, I caught a virus where I lost a lot of weight and didn't eat for a while. And it was tough to get rid of.
A basketball comeback now seems like a long shot. The DJ Franson tournament comes and Nick is nowhere near ready to play. He attends the games and sits on the bench. After the game, Nick meets DJ's father, Dave, and his brother, Kevin, the 2 men knowing very well what this teen is enduring. The tournament ends on Saturday night. Nick is named the tournament's most inspirational player, even though he doesn't play a minute on the court. Just after the new year, Nick's new start begins to take shape, working towards his comeback. He attends his first practice with his teammates. His head now clean-shaven, he tires easily. His shoulder is in pain from the port that was implanted and from lack of use. He practices a few minutes at a time before standing on the sidelines to watch and regain his strength.
Legs still kind of feel like dead weight, and this arm's kind of useless right now.
The stands are filling up for the Chargers' Friday night game against Santa Teresa. There, in uniform, taking the court for the Chargers, is Nick Murtha. Fans in the stands anticipating Nick's return to play. Everyone here is a tribute to Nick, who has handled his battle with courage and grace. Just before halftime, Nick takes the court. Nick just wanted to play basketball his senior season. 6 months after having an orange-sized tumor removed from his brain after debilitating chemotherapy, after battling to make it back, Nick plays. Nick is extremely grateful for the support from the Leland and Almaden communities and for the efforts at the Lucille Packard Children's Hospital at Stanford. He'll head off to junior college next year and hopes to keep playing basketball.
Such an amazing story and an inspirational kid.
He has just done it all with such great grace and courage. It's just an incredible young man.
We wish him the best of luck. And One Hit Away brings us great advice and information on concussion treatment and prevention each week.
Here's Darren Sidibaka with this week's tip.